What's going on, everyone, and welcome to Movie Emporium's Ending Explained spoiler-filled review of No One Gets Out Alive. This film is directed by Sergio Mangini and is based off the book from Adam Neville. Now, before we begin, if you like this channel, awesome, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium, hit that notification bell at the top to find out what's coming next. If you like any of these videos, awesome, hit that like button as well as commenting below on any video that you watch, including this one. So if you watch any of my Ending Explains videos, just to let you know, there will be spoilers, there will be, the Ending Explains, there will be everything thrown into the mix about this movie. So just kind of give you a word of warning before you actually get into it. Please watch it and then come back and watch my review. So No One Gets Out Alive is the newest, current, latest horror film that's coming out on Netflix, like a week after Midnight Mass. It's the story of a character named Amber, who's of course played by Christina Rudlow. She's an individual that is an immigrant. She comes into America for the American dream. Her mother just passed away. She basically finds odd jobs, working like textile mills and stuff like that. And she also lives in this kind of boarding house type situation, but it's low rent. It's kind of a rundown situation. This guy named Red runs the building and whatnot, but it's almost like rent free and all that good stuff. And in the process, because this is a horror film, there is a central mystery to this house, this place that she's living in. She's starting to see things. There are things in the background similar to like maybe Haunting of Hill House, but they're much more prevalent. And the idea and concept of what exactly is going on starts to kind of unfold upon itself with the mystery of what these moths, the little creatures, are in the house for. And of course, moths have always been in horror films, like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that. So they're very prevalent in like horror situations because of how they look and the kind of concepts and theories behind them and so on and so forth. And so as the movie progresses, the more and more weird this movie starts getting, the more and more we start seeing, and it leads to a revelation that is very similar to another movie I saw like about a year ago with a very interesting kind of conceptual theory and conceptual idea that's being presented. And so that's basically my non-spoiler review. It's a movie about a woman who moves into a boarding house that holds very, very dark secrets. And so with that said, it was a movie that I really knew nothing about, to be fairly honest. I've never heard of Christina Rudlow before. She is actually very talented in this movie, so I give her a lot of credit. But it is definitely a horror film that I think is going to get a lot of buzz. It's going to be similar to like, Her House or even Haunting of Hill House, where it's just going to get a lot of traction for the material and the concept and the conceit. But it has an aura to it. It has a feel and a very horrifying nature to it. So it's going to be very much a Halloween type movie, and it has a lot of messages about how immigrants are treated and how they are presented and how women who are very much alone and trying to scrape by the world or mistreated by individuals like guys and stuff like that. So there's much more mystery, and like I said, the moth situation makes it much more interesting. But overall, I didn't know much about it. I didn't even know it was a book. Apparently, it's a 600-page book that somehow got turned into an hour-and-a-half movie, which makes me wonder if the book's much, much better. So I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments, as you usually do. But with that said, I still enjoyed the movie. I still had fun with it. It's a good hour and 30-minute, conceit concept for a horror film, and leads to a very cool conclusion, which I'll get into in my Ending Explains portion. But I just found the way the film's shot and the way it looks, the fact we see, ghosts in the background and what those ghosts are for. They have like shiny eyes and stuff like that, and they're just kind of in there, like kind of placed all around, and there's particular reasons why they're there, but like I said, sometimes she sees them, sometimes she doesn't, and it's just a really cool effect. I love the idea of just having things in the background that you may see or may not see, and it makes it for just kind of a chilling event, a chilling situation, and it creates that very mood, that tension that you always love in a good horror film. So I actually definitely recommend this for anybody who doesn't really know much about this film or this book, who just wants to go in and watch a really interesting horror film. And one thing I will tell you is a lot of this movie is spoken in Spanish, a lot of it is spoken in English, so there is a translation. There's also subtitles, so that works to its benefit. I think that makes it more authentic and whatnot. And I think the character of Red, the kind of tenant, has a really interesting kind of characterization to him, a very interesting dimension to him. He's a guy that just doesn't seem like a very good individual, but he seems like he has a little bit of respect for these women that kind of come up. I think Christina Rudlow does a really nice job in the role. I think she's a lot of fun. I think she's a good, horror scream actress type of situation. And I think the house is quite interesting to look at. It's very run down. It's very broken down. It's one of those houses, like I said in a tweet, is you're in a Netflix horror film, you're going to a house like, Hill Manor or this house or whatever, this boarding house, chances are, if you know where you're at, you just pack up your crap and get the heck out, because there is no reason you should be in there. You know it's never going to turn out very well, and that's this type of film. So that I would definitely recommend if you're in a Netflix horror film, especially with a house, her house, whatever. Get the heck out. So, but with that said, I still definitely recommend it. So that is my non-spoiler review, my non-spoiler take. There is a lot of stuff to talk about, and then he explains and all that good stuff. So with that said, this is where you should end if you haven't watched it. And when you watch the actual movie, go into my ending explains. So we'll go into do that. So since this movie has officially released, it releases the day that our review is allowed to be off embargo. I just wanted to talk about my overall thoughts, spoiler-wise, on this film. Now, why I compared The Haunting of Hill House is there is a lot of, like I said, even in my non-spoiler review, there's a lot of ghosts, a lot of specters, a lot of like what seems like possessed creatures in this movie, this hour and a half movie, and they're in the background. Some of them are very unhidden, some of them are hidden, so you see something but you're not entirely sure. They're just kind of littered all around this house. They're constantly watching the Christina Rodlow character, the Amber character. But what these ghosts are is not really it's up to your imagination at first. So you're just kind of, you have this one young girl who's just kind of watching TV, she's on her phone, blah blah blah, and she gets attacked by one of the ghosts, or at least we think it's a ghost, and she is killed or whatever, and she ends up actually seeing her throughout the entire movie. But what is really interesting about this is, like I said, it's about it's a lot of times, a lot of these horror films, especially like Her House, is about the immigrant experience, about how women in working fields that come over to do the American dream and stuff like that are treated, and how they have to work these like really terrible jobs, how they have to work and live in these terrible places, and how these people like look down upon them and mistreat them. Is very much, the character of Red and his brother, who is one of the main characters in this movie, are very terrible individuals. Red constantly berates her, is down on her. She gives him money as a down payment, but she wants the down payment back because she wants to leave, and he won't give it to her, and he's kind of doing the runaround. So it's very much in line with that type of situation. Plus, there's probably more in the book, the Adam Neville book, which I don't know because I didn't even know it was a book. So, like I said, I was reading through some of the comments of the book, and it's like apparently, like I said, 600 pages. So there's a lot more probably stuff there, a lot more meat to the bone that is not in this hour and 30-minute movie. It's really interesting to see. It really gives to the point of immigrants, even in today's society. There's a lot of stuff going on in America and stuff like that about how they're treated. So when you watch this girl just try to make ends meet, and then she's getting berated by her boss and eventually fired, and then she has to go back to this like squalor type house with these young women who are there. And you're like, why is it just women? Why aren't there any guys there? It's a very strange situation. And what's really interesting is the young girls kind of start disappearing. Sometimes we'll see them in smoking and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden we're hearing like screams and stuff like through the vents, and we're hearing like voice work and voices and stuff like that. And this young woman Amber is starting to see things, so she's seeing like footprints on the floor, and she's seeing water dripping. What I think is water is probably blood, if I know right. And she's just hearing a lot of things, and then she'll go out in the town, she'll see her like dead mother, and the things that she's had to go through have really affected her. So her being like the final girl, or the final scream queen type of situation, really makes a lot of sense, and how she survives. And so we'll get to the ending explained, so I don't want to make this video too long. But this story, what exactly is happening, why she's hearing these things, why she's seeing these ghosts. Red and his brother, who looks a lot like Sid Haig in a much more demented form, a much more younger form, have been basically taking women that are very poor, that will probably never be missed to the extent. And there's a reason the basement's locked. There's a reason that it's, way it is. They take these women, they kidnap them, they look them up in like dirt, and they put like red paint on their face. And they take them down to this like altar thing down in the basement. It's a bunch of candles, altar, and there is a woman on one of the altars when they take the Amber character, when the Sid Haig character takes the Amber character down, and the woman's missing her head. Throughout the movie, there's this box that's being shown. There's a creature kind of always trying to get out of it. Well, this movie goes into a very, I want to say Guillermo del Toro, maybe Amulet style territory, where it can be theorized whether this creature is real, whether it's not, whether it's in her mind, whether, blah, 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 because there are a lot of times where she's going in her mind and stuff like that. But the Amber character is put on the throne, the altar, or whatever. And this is when we see the full-length Guillermo del Toro style character, where this is a big moth-like creature that almost hasn't developed outside of the moth. It has a head down here. It has like little arms like here, big gigantic legs. It looks like something out of Pan's Labyrinth. And what ends up happening is this guy, this brother of Red, basically, because he has a sickness and there's some kind of problem, he is sacrificing women to this moth-like creature. Now, I'm sure there's something behind that. There's something really kind of logical about what exactly that means, which I'm gonna let you guys decide because I'm not entirely sure, so I apologize. But I have a feeling it's like sacrificing sacrificing virginity, sacrificing the purity and stuff like that. That's why these people probably been living for as long as they have. Maybe it has to do with the concept of just like women are very pure in heart and spirit, and how their creature almost feels like a judgmental creature. It's judgmenting, but it's also eating the heads of people. And at one point we see the creature, that we don't see the creature, but we see the box, which has like a very dark, deep thing to it, which is like a different world. And she starts to imagine her, I don't know if it's her uncle or whatever, but he's tried to save her, he's been killed. And she goes in the room and she sees her mother on the in the hospital on the bed, and she's trying to talk to her and so on and so forth. That's when the creature comes out and starts like looking at the head of the Amber's character to eat it, and she somehow fights back and is able to basically fight back the creature, and she survives, and she closes up the little box thing, like the cube or whatever that this creature comes out of. And then she kills Red and his brother, and unfortunately one of the girls, in a very kind of why did they have to do that moment, which really kind of made me mad a little bit. One of the girls is thrown off the stair balcony and dies. She has the one moment where she's been messed up in the foot. She's going to she sacrifices Red to the moth-like demon creature, about ready to leave the house, but her leg is recured, and the creature is down there. And I think at the end of this movie, I think she becomes almost transfixed, possessed by the creature, and maybe, just maybe, she is going to be used by the creature to have more sacrifices. And you see that in kind of how her eyes kind of dilate, and how these moths are kind of like, I want to say they're kind of like if a hypnotist is dangling in front of it. So it's left unknown exactly what she's going to do, but I have a feeling that the moth-like creature is either giving her possession powers to go off and kill people, who knows, that's just a weird theory, or she's possessed and she's going to take over this house, and then more sacrifices are going to happen. It's not entirely sure exactly what's going to happen. I'm sure plenty of theories are out there exactly what happens, but that's my personal theory, is just she is now possessed by this creature, and she's going to do the creature's bidding. But that is pretty much the ending explains. Like I said, it has a lot of concepts and ideas about immigrants, and the idea of moths, which are known as like horrifying creatures, even though they're like very gentle-eyes creatures and stuff like that. And it's just a very kind of interesting horror film. I'm very interested to read the book now, which I might actually do, which I don't read a lot of books, but this sounds kind of interesting. And I hear it's very brutal, which kind of is like up my alley, but for 600 pages, it's pretty impressive. They turned it into an hour-and-a-half movie, which actually still worked. So like I said, if you read the book, I'm sure you might feel different, but I feel it actually works. And what's also really kind of interesting, the title of the movie is called No One Gets Out Alive, and she's not really leaving, so she might not get out alive, so who knows. But with that said, that'll be my take on No One Gets Out Alive. Thank you so much for watching. In the comments below, what is your favorite haunted house movie? And if kind of be more specific, did you read this book? What did you think of the book? Are you looking forward to the movie? All that good stuff. So let me know in the comments. Otherwise, if you like what you see on this channel, hit the subscribe button to join Movie Emporium. Hit that notification bell at the top to find what's coming next. If you liked the video, awesome. Hit that like button. And as always, we'll see you guys in the next video. Peace out.